395. And my name is Jordan Obeas. I'm the founder of dayNumber. I've been documenting my journey for the last 395 days. I can't believe it's almost been 400 days, since I started this journey last year. And at the time, it was called the Billions Club, and now I shifted it to dayNumber. And essentially, it's what I'm building is a platform for founders to document their journey in a way that AI can read it, and you can also share it with others, right? And it keeps track of how many days you've been building. And usually, what I talk about each day is what happened the day before, and then what's going to happen today, and then essentially a topic around that. And I feel like the title that I shared here today is that if you're a founder seeing this, okay, you're about to break through. And what I meant by that is, and the reason why I'm sharing that is I just feel like, when I have read these biographies and autobiographies of people in the last few months, I'm on my fifth one now, James Dyson, they didn't know, when success would actually happen, for them in terms of what it was that they were building. They just knew that they had to build whatever it is that they were building. And then eventually, something changed and they broke through, So I think the key is staying present with whatever challenge or problem that you're focused on building, and then embracing the journey, because, everybody that I've read, Michael Dell, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, now James Dyson, all face times of challenges, right? Where they didn't know, times of uncertainty, where is what you're building actually going to work. Even Tesla back in 2008, when the financial crisis happened, they were about to basically go broke or bankrupt, right? But thankfully, Elon was able to raise enough money to actually keep the company going. And then after he worked day and night, literally slept on the factory floor. And then he had to do the same thing almost 10 years later, right? So you just don't know, even SpaceX, right? They had 3 failed launches, and then they're literally on their last round of funds, the 4th launch, and then it actually worked, and then boom, they landed a contract, with NASA, right? So you just don't know, if you're watching this for the first time, you're on the verge and you're seeing this, that means you're on the verge of a breakthrough, as a founder. So keep going, and here's something cool. Check this out. See, here's the ProLine ticket. Okay, ProLine current as this is just a list of winners. Okay, whatever. I don't think this is a bet. Yeah. But you have to bet on yourself. Okay, and ride that bet and know that you betting on yourself is eventually gonna pay off, right? So Frank Fredericks says hi. Frank Fredericks, what's going on? Welcome. Yeah, I'm here with my boy Max. Maxie boy. It's a beautiful day out today. No clouds. Beautiful. But yeah, and then Bill Gates, same thing. He was, as a child, he was very different, from other children. He was very rebellious against his mom, and always wanted to do what he wanted to do, right? And then eventually he channeled that energy, after seeing a psychotherapist or whatever, psychiatrist, help him to realize that he needs to challenge this energy instead of fighting against his mom. He's eventually he'll win, but why not channel this energy to something that he's more passionate about, something more productive. And then that's when he eventually moved to a private school in Seattle, and they had access to a computer room where they had the big, one of the first kind of computers that were not enterprise type of computers, right? Still big though. They had a terminal, and that's where he learned to code, you know. Um, and he was fascinated by that because he could, you know, make something up like that he wanted to do, like some sort of functionality, right? And then, yeah, a second, guys, and then make it work, you know. So it was like magic, right? But he didn't know what was gonna happen. That he was gonna build like, the operating system for pretty much half the world. He didn't know that. It started with him just being fascinated. He used to sneak out every single night to code, you know, to go on the computer, you know, to keep building and working on a project, whatever he was working on. So Lola Bunny Hope says hi. Hey, Vic Renash says hi. Hey, welcome. Where's everyone tuning in from today? Where's everyone tuning in from today? I'll give you guys a shout out. So yeah, so you guys are on the verge of a breakthrough. If you're seeing this, you're meant to see this. You are all, whoever is turning here, whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is that you're going through, you know, maybe you've been working on it for just as long as I have, or if not longer, or maybe just a short period of time, but it seems like a long time. You know, even for me, like 400 days, almost 400 days now. I'm on day number, Max, hey! Oh, Max. Oh, man. Guys, first time happened on the stream. Max. It's my fault. That's what happens when you're trying to stream and pick up dog poop at the same time. And you don't look around. Max, no. But yeah, 395 days might seem like a long time. But to other people like James Dyson, it took him about 15 years before he actually seen any real success. 15 years, imagine that. So, I got some that's crazy. So I'm on day number over year one, pretty much. Day number 395. That's not even close. And he had a wife, 3 kids, you know, had a mortgage to take care of. His wife was the only one really working, kind of living off of borrowed money against their house. But, you know, even in those times, and he was fighting a legal case, you know, with somebody that stole his patents basically for his original cyclone invention. It took him 5,127 prototypes before he got the proper cyclone that he wanted for the bagless vacuum, right? Hang on a second, guys. Yeah, definitely gotta watch this. Come on, Max, let's go. I'm just looking at the camera. I'm like, oh man, I gotta watch this. But yeah, that's crazy. Let's go, Max, come on. But imagine 5,127 prototypes, you know, to perfect it. But, you know, if you're going to do that many, you're committed, you know, even after like 100 prototypes, you know, depending on how long it takes you. Maybe the iterations were really fast, you know, maybe you did like 10 prototypes a day. You do that for a whole year. That's 3,650 prototypes, right? So if you're working on it for a year and a half, then boom, you hit that. But still a lot, you know, still a lot of prototypes. And then continuously iterating and inventing. And now I'm reading a part in his book where he's inventing, or they've been building electric vehicles and motors because they've been using motors in all their technologies. That was like a common thing. And batteries as well. So it was like a natural evolution of like where they started. Like the vacuum is like where they started, and now they're like a, you know, full-on technology company. You know, and that's how they were like an innovative technology company, Dyson. So you just never know when your breakthrough is gonna happen. For him, 15 years, you know, until he really started to see traction. You he has a business before that he worked on for about 5 years, and then ended up with nothing in it. It was like called the ball barrel, and essentially it was a way to it was trying to revolutionize wheelbarrows instead of putting like a bouncy ball in there. Hold on 1 second, guys. Max, wait. I gotta wipe this phone here. Hold on 1 second. I wonder if I can get even some water. Okay, just wiping the phone. Got some poop stains on it. Well, I'll use soap later on, but this will do for now. Just using like this bag. Hold on 1 second, guys. Anyways, gotta do what I gotta do. So, anyways. So what are you guys up to today? What's on everyone's? Oh, Mac, he wants to play. This is what's on Max's agenda. He wants to play. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. The Max edition of the stream. What do you got around your neck, Max? Yeah, he does this every day. Every day. This is ever since he was a baby with like a small little pup. He'd play with his leash. Maybe it reminds him when he's a little boy or a little pup with his siblings, Who knows? Anyways, reminder to self. Don't pick up while you're streaming and not keeping your dog close. Because usually what happens is if I'm doing that, I look around first and I see if there's any dogs. So that way when I pick it up and Max doesn't like run away and jump. I mean, yeah, I could train him to not bark and be calm, but I don't know. Just haven't gotten around to it in 4 years. Could always get better, right? Your breakthrough's coming, guys. If you're tuning in right now for the first time, your breakthrough's coming. Even Steve Jobs, like he was working on Next, after he got ousted from Apple, a company that he started with Steve Wozniak, and he pushed so hard for after 10 years getting ousted from your company. Pretty much. I mean, he stepped down as CEO, like running the company, and effectively having no involvement in any department. And the only thing he could do is like work on like kind of like his own little lab. But he's like, no, screw that. Why would I just have the chairman role? I'm just gonna leave. And then boom, he started Next, which he was trying to reinvent how the desktop computer towers were, like the actual computer is like a box, like a cube basically. And then eventually he had to pivot because there was too much. It was too expensive to make, and they weren't shipping as much as he thought. And he had to pivot to selling software, enterprise software to companies to turn it profitable. And then eventually Apple needed his software and brought Steve back. He was first just like a chairman or whatever, and then eventually he transitioned to CEO. Because at the time he was very reluctant to do it, because he also had the company Pixar that he bought and invested into. He invested $5 million He bought it from George Lucas, and then after that, after almost pretty much 10 years, he invested I think about 50 million of his own money into Pixar to be what it, and then what happened was they launched, he bet literally all his money on Toy Story, and then they did an IPO after it, I think, I don't know how much it did, but I think it did like 30 something million or something like that. You guys could fact check, but then they went public the next week, you know, and boom, he was a billionaire, right? So at the time he was CEO of that company, and to be CEO of two companies, especially how intense he is, was going to be a really big, a really big struggle, right? But he did it anyway, you know. And he was saying later on that might have caused the cancer back then, you know, the amount of stress that it took on him, you know, to actually be, I think, and that's crazy, you know, to imagine. Like, I know there's some people that run, like Elon, like, you know, even though he is CEO, like, he still has his mind on, like, but the main things is SpaceX, you know, and Tesla. Even when he took on X, he was like, why did I do this? Like, it's like, he felt like he was like pushed into it, because when he was trying to back out of the deal, the judge said that he pretty much had to cough up the money or take over or something like that. There would still be a fine. So basically he was out for his money on the deal if he chose to take it over or not, you know. So anyways, yeah, you have to embrace the journey. You don't know when your breakthrough's coming. Steve thought it was going to be next, you know, but then boom, it was Pixar, and then next led him back to Apple ultimately when he needed him, right? So your breakthrough's coming through. Your breakthrough is coming through. Your breakthrough is coming through. Possible. My koi fish might be your brother. And see. Nice. It's coming, man. It's coming. Almost there. Almost like the koi fish. I need to get it a little bit longer. NC Nibnato. What's up? Vic Rayans. So anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in again. If it's your first time tuning in, remember, embrace the journey. Your breakthrough's coming. You know, just stay focused on, you know, whatever it is that you're currently building right now, and know that somehow it's all gonna come together. You know, and just get and enjoy the process. Embrace the journey. You know, have fun, right? Because guess what? That moment of you finally achieving whatever it is you want to achieve only lasts for a certain amount of time, right? You're gonna go on to the next thing after that, right? Even if you think that, oh, what I'm building is gonna impact billions of people for generations, and you might not experience the feeling or see the impact, it's still a feeling in you. It's some sort of like knowingness. So stay in that, right? If you're actually doing it for legacy, man, enjoy the process, and just know that whether I finish it or not, whatever I'm building is contributing to the problem that I'm solving or the future that I'm creating. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day.